Senorita, I feel for you. It is Talking Reds. I've got Josh Sexton next to me. We are in Bilbao. We had some night out last night.
Some night out it was, yeah. Senorita, I certainly do feel for you. There was contrasting karaoke performances, I'd say, Neil. I'd say that you were the winner. You were the take-home winner. MOM.
Oh, you're too kind.
But there were some, and I include myself in this. There were some rope performances. I had to go back to what I knew when these Spanish girls arrived and absolutely tore the house down. They were
the MOM.
They were, to be fair. The girl in the dress who was singing all the lovely Spanish songs really, really well. I feel like she just sort of made us all look like a gang of pricks, to be honest.
She did. She nailed it. She took the house. She won the night. There's no getting away from the facts on that one. Bilbao is gorgeous. If you haven't been to Bilbao, and I hadn't until we got here, it is a beautiful city. It's really well integrated with the countryside. I've been knocked over by it. I'm already planning to come back.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, isn't it? We've not even got to see the sort of full extent of it either.
No, it's behind you here, but it's gorgeous.
This is the sort of shame almost with this bus is that you get to experience some amazing sights and see some great cities, but you don't get to properly experience them at times. And we were quite lucky yesterday in that most
got some good time in Bilbao.
Yeah, we got some good time in Bilbao, but unfortunately, as the Anfield rapper I want to do, we just ended up in a karaoke bar rather than sort of getting to sample all of its great things.
You say that, but to be fair, it was after midnight. There's only so much you can sample and so much you can do. Listen, we're going to talk about the Reds. We've got the final on the horizon, but after the final, and it does feel like that's a whole new country. God knows the people will all be after the final, but after the final it's come out that it looks like Matip and Milner are going to get extensions to the deal.
Yeah, it's positive news, I think, to be honest, on both counts. I think, me and Ian were talking the other night about Joel Matip's performances this season, and I think there's been a few people who've actually been not necessarily over-critical, but haven't given him the praise that I think he deserves. I think Matip has genuinely been excellent for a couple of months now alongside Virgil van Dijk, and we all know how much Virgil van Dijk has raised performances of a few around him, and he deserves some credit for that, but you also have to credit the lads who are raising their own performances off the back of that, and I think Joel Matip is absolutely massively one of them. He's been a standout for Liverpool, and we'd all be shocked to see him not starting on Saturday, and I think that's testament to how much he's come on in recent months and weeks. And then obviously Milner, when you hear about the PSG interest, I think it makes all the sense for a side like PSG to be going after someone like Milner. Someone who's experienced, someone who's versatile, someone who has caused them problems on a couple of occasions for Liverpool now, and that makes all the sense to me. I'd like to see Milner sign a new deal, to be honest, when you hear about all the apparent interest that Leeds might have in him and the interest he might have in going back to Leeds if they were to come up with his contract expiring next season. It's really good to see Liverpool tying down these and they are assets.
Well, Milner, though, 33, but I think it's testament to him. I think it's also testament to the idea that he is one of the linchpins of this culture that Klopp's created. It is that idea that he wants to pin the architects of that culture down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen a quote from Klopp the other day about what Milner's influence is like in the dressing room, and he sort of said, I can go in and say all the things I want, but at the end of the day, you need someone there like Milner to sort of put that forward and lead by example like that. And I think that's a massive compliment to Milner. You hear about Steven Gerrard when he was captain of Liverpool and how he always compliments Carragher and says, I was the one who just sort of went out on the pitch and did my job, but Carragher was the one who was shouting at everyone and probably being the real captain in the side, in all honesty. And James Milner, is our vice captain. Him and Jordan Henderson, I think, are two completely different leaders, and that's another positive thing about this Liverpool side is how many leaders it's got.
Well, that came through in the Trent piece in the Echo, which was brilliant from James Pearce, where Trent sort of did a little pen portrait of a number of different players, all the starting 11 and then a couple on the side, and it came over there when he was talking about the example that gets set in that dressing room, that gets set by Henderson and Milner.
And I think it also shows Henderson doing that piece, and you saw it in Andy Robertson's piece for Players Tribune as well, how much respect these players have for each other, and how much these players demand respect for themselves as well. I really love the Andy Robertson thing because it's him saying, thanks for the compliment, but also fuck off, because I'm so much more than what you think I am. This is not just some fairy tale where I've ended up at Liverpool for 8 million from Hull, and you think this is he's playing in Champions League finals, how's he done this? It's I've worked really hard to get here. We've all worked really hard to get here. Jordan Henderson's fighting getting critics every day. James Milner's, fighting off his age. I'm sure he's convinced he's not a 33-year-old man at this stage, Neil.
I think that's almost certainly the case. Mentioned the Andy Robertson thing. There's that great Players Tribune piece. There's also something on the BBC about Andy Robertson as well. One of the good things I think about being in a Champions League final, Josh, is that these players get this week of pure recognition. Now listen, there's another form of recognition, and Andy Robertson himself has said Liverpool deserve nothing. They'll get what they deserve on Saturday. That we find out they've got to work for it one more time. But it is good to see the fact that we get to recognise the brilliance of these footballers after the season that they've had.
Yeah, absolutely, and they deserve all the sort of limelight they're getting now. I think for a whole season it's been hard really getting much change out of any of these Liverpool players and out of Man City's players, because they've been locked so fiercely in this battle, and I don't think anyone's really wanted to cede any sort of possession to the other team. I mean, Kyle Walker maybe being the main one who sometimes came out and talked a bit more than he should, but none of the Liverpool players seem to really be doing it. It seems to just be sticking to the task at hand, and so it's nice now, like you say, to see them getting their moment in the sun. But I think it also speaks a lot about the mentality. Klopp called them fucking mentality giants earlier in the season, didn't he? And I think it says a lot about that they're all coming out of this stage and they're not being complacent. I really enjoy Andy Robertson coming out and saying what he said, because it shows that none of them are taking this for granted. It's a second Champions League final in successive years, and they all know this time they have to right the wrongs of last year.
We are therefore now on the ticking clock. It is tomorrow. The Champions League final is tomorrow. The press conference is tonight. The Champions League final is tomorrow, and Josh, it's such an opportunity for these players. They have got to go and earn it one more time, and they'll be determined to earn it. But if they do play, I'd say to their capability, if they play to their maximum, if Liverpool play as well as they can, I really struggle to see a way Tottenham can win the game. That is in a couple of worldies or a set piece or something like that. Yeah,
and if you sort of stack the two sides up against each other over the course of the season, I think Tottenham will be really disappointed with how they finish the season. I don't think they'll be too concerned about their form at other times in the season. I think they only ended up with 2 draws in the end, did they? So they're a side who don't like to draw a game, I think it's fair to say, Neil. But they lost a few towards the end and had a few disappointing results, so they'll be looking at that and thinking, we ended the season in a bad way there, we need to correct that going into Madrid. But Liverpool have every reason to think that they should be going into this as favourites and thinking they if they play to the maximum, as you say, they can win this game.
Winning the game would be huge, wouldn't it? I think it would be the next thing that needs to happen. I think that the project is dead fascinating. I think it's been terrific. I don't think you can criticise anyone involved. 97 points is 97 points. Getting to Kiev last season was getting to Kiev last season. But I think this is the first time the project, the overall idea, demands success.
I think, yeah, absolutely. And Carl Kopak wrote a piece for the website yesterday about comparing this side to Bob Paisley's side in '77 when they had to go and win their first European Cup, and the sort of almost the dynasty that led to, they win 3 European Cups and I think 4 years after that, 5 years after that. So this could be the start of this for this Liverpool side. This could be the start of a massive trophy haul, but they need to get this one over the line first.
Loads of stuff on the Anfield Wrap. We've had loads of stuff across a number of days on the Anfield Wrap. Pleased to have done it. Great to have the opportunity to do it, to work hard and get that reward. Not dissimilar to the Liverpool side. So much fantastic content. We've been putting it out. The stuff from the bus yesterday. There's all the stuff that we did with the interviews, many of which Josh sorted out. It's been fantastic work. You've had so many European Cup winners coming through the door of the Anfield Wrap recently. We've been so pleased to have them, so thank you to them. You got other fantastic preview video is out now as well. That's available for people when they want that. Everything that you need is on the Anfield Wrap. Do subscribe if you have not already. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in Bilbao. It's going to be a pleasure to be in Madrid, and it's going to be a pleasure to watch Liverpool win the 6th European Cup. That's been Talking Reds. Gentlemen, good night. Ladies, good morning.